Coming to paperback and e-readers, ISIS Legacy. The sorority secrets from the goddess next door are revealed in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Pre-order your copy of ISIS Legacy on Amazon.com today. Maya Ponsetto, also known as the Soho Karen, struck a plea deal with Manhattan prosecutor Alvin Bragg that will keep her from spending any jail time behind bars after participating in what the previous district attorney Cyrus Vance deemed a hate crime. Now, your Maya Ponsetto got a plea deal from your Alvin Bragg, a black man, which will allow her to live a law-abiding life for 2 years under probation and will continue with therapy under the terms of that probation while living in California. Now, this is a travesty of justice as related to Maya Ponsetto, because your Maya Ponsetto should have been prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Now, one of the big problems we have with your Karens like your Maya Ponsetto is that we have people like your Alvin Bragg who look to give these women a pass for their egregious and out of control behavior. And what's really troubling here is that you have a black man giving this white or Hispanic female, depending on who you talk to, a pass for racially profiling a young black man. And what he does is justify giving this white or Hispanic female a pass for participating in this egregious and racist behavior. Now, what really disgusts me about your Alvin Bragg giving your Maya Ponsetto a pass is that here we have a black man finally in a position of political power, and instead of him using that political power to go out here and hold this white or whatever Hispanic female accountable for racially profiling a foundational black American teenage boy, to send a message to the world that there will be a boundary set as related to the out of control and egregious behaviors of these Karens. What this black man does is he goes out here and instead of trying to set a standard for how black people are treated, he goes out here and gives your Maya Ponsetto a pass, showing us that he is more interested in licking the boots of white supremacy and looking to gain favor for white supremacists instead of showing that a black person's life has value and that anybody who goes out here and tries to do harm to a young black boy or a black man will be held to the same standard of law as any other black person would have been held. Instead, what your Alvin Bragg does with this plea deal is create a legal precedent that makes it where a black man's life has less value, and what he does with this legal precedent is encourage more of these Karens like your Maya Ponsetto to continue participating in their egregious and out of control and racist behavior, because many of these Karens, what they do is they choose a young black man to racial, or a young black boy, like in this case, to racially profile, to get attention for themselves, because many of these females have hit the wall. They no longer can go out here and get the attention of the white men, and they can't go out here and be seen as somebody relevant. So what they do is they play a dangerous game that many white females used to play during the dark days of Jim Crow, where they would make an allegation against a black boy or a black man of some sort of act, usually a sexual act of violence, and then as this black boy is being lynched, they are smiling about the attention that these white men are giving her as this boy is lynched, and they're feeling secure in themselves about getting white male attention. And this is the same thing that the Karens go out here and do. They go out here and look for black men and black boys to racially profile and make threats on. And then what they want the police to do is go out here and go after those black boys and put those black boys in jail so that they can feel secure in their own egos about getting attention from white men. And what's really sad here is that because we've got this bootlick class of black people out here, like your Alvin Bragg, they're not looking to show a value in black life. No, all they're looking for is white validation and white approval, and what they will do is devalue the lives of foundational black Americans because even though they are in a position of political power that could help out other black people, no, they are looking to try to gain white social currency, and they're willing to throw the lives of other black men and boys under the bus. And also what they're doing is throwing men's rights under the bus, because when you create an interpretation of law like your Alvin Bragg did here in his attempt to lick white supremacist boots, he's thrown men's rights under the bus the same way your Kevin Steele threw men's rights under the bus when he obsessively went after Bill Cosby in an effort to try to get him put in prison. And this interpretation of law makes it where your men really don't have rights as related to regulating the behaviors of these out of control Karens who desperately need a boundary set as related to their behavior. Unfortunately, your Alvin Bragg doesn't have the backbone or the balls to go out here and stand up like a black man and stand up for the rights of black men and boys and hold this woman accountable for the hate crime she committed. No, instead of him looking to hold this Hispanic or white female accountable for her racist and criminal and hateful behavior, what he does is look to say, oh, this was just something that happened to me, and it's something that we can try to ensure does not reoccur. Well, we ensure that it doesn't reoccur by putting these kind of females in prison, because when we put these females in prison, what you're doing is sending a message to every one of these Karens out here that their behavior will not be tolerated, their behavior has consequences, and that they will be held accountable. And that's the big problem that is causing a problem in this country as related to America's growing woman crisis. We have an entire bumper crop of bootlicks and simps like your Alvin Bragg who want to go out here and give women a pass for their egregious and racist and out of control behavior. And because we got these simps out here looking to pander and get brownie points with women who they think are a large voting bloc, these females are never made to yield to boundaries. They're never made to be held accountable, and there's never a line set as related to their behavior. And because there's no line set as related to their behavior, what happens is this allows these females to continue escalating their behavior and continuing to participate in more and more out of control behavior. Because as I've written in The Woman Crisis, one of the problems we're having in this country is more and more women are becoming more and more out of control, and as their behavior becomes more and more out of control, they are going amok in society. Because when you have a female who goes out here, makes an accusation against a black boy based on the color of his skin, and your legal system does not hold anyone accountable, and it's a black man in charge, that is a textbook picture of the deep kind of self-hatred from white supremacy on the black mind, and it is a textbook example of how weak the black bootlicks they put in place are, because only a weak black man would go out here and try to give a woman like a Maya Ponsetto a pass, and only a weak black man looking to try to lick boots of white supremacists would go out here and try to make excuses like this, saying, oh, his plea is going to make sure the appropriate accountability is made as related to the underlying causes of her behavior, even though this woman has been reoffending multiple times. No, the way you deal with a Karen out here is you put these Karens in prison, because once you start putting these Karens in prison, their behavior starts to correct itself. The only way ratchet women remain ratchet is because you have a host of simps enabling their behavior, and because the simp enables these ratchet women's behavior, they continue to go out here and acting ratchet and escalating their behavior because they see that this is how they can go out here and get attention. But the way you stop these ratchet females like Amaya Ponsetto from acting in these egregious and racist ways is by putting a punishment on that behavior where there are lasting consequences. Now, this whole deal disgusts me because it shows me that we have, like I've said in a previous live stream, a bootlick problem, and this bootlick class of cowards, like the one in the case of the Central Park Karen and the one here where your DA Alvin Bragg, these bootlicks are more concerned with gaining white favor than going out here and having any sort of dignity as a man. And and because they have no dignity, they're looking to go out here and bootleg for these white people, and they're willing to sacrifice their dignity and show that a black man's life has no value. And that is the thing that disgusts me about cowards like your Christian Cooper and your Alvin Bragg. And your Alvin Bragg clearly shows me why he's not fit for the office of district attorney, because if you could not hold this woman responsible for the hate crime she committed and establish a legal precedent for black men and men in general, then you are not fit for the office that you were elected to. And again, it just disgusts me that we have these so-called educated professional black men, but these black males have no man in them, and they have no masculinity whatsoever, because any man of character is going to stand up for manhood. And if you don't stand up for manhood, what you're doing is sending a message to all of these Karens that they can step all over men and they can have no respect for the rights of men. Because again, this is about more than anything out here as related to men's rights. Because if this woman can go out here and step on the rights of this young black teenage boy, then you're sending a message and establishing a legal precedent that most of America's men have rights that your white females and non-black females have to regard, and that they can do whatever they please and continue disrespecting men, doing whatever they please to men, and no one will hold them accountable. And again, that just shows the weakness of your Alvin Bragg and other beta males who are in positions of power, because here you are again, a black man in a position of power, and instead of using that position to go out here and empower other black men by creating legal precedent that protects the rights of black men, you go out here and say, I don't have any rights that anybody needs to regard, because when you make deals with Karens, what you're doing is the same thing that a beta male or a simp goes out here and does with a predatory female, and that is try to make a deal hoping that you're going to make a deal on her terms. But the whole thing is, when you make a deal on her terms, you screw yourself over. And the sad part is, when you get in a position of power, you screw other people over. And when you screw the rights of men over for these types of ratchet females, what it does is it weakens the position of men, and it weakens men in society. But that's not what your Alvin Bragg is thinking about, because Alvin Bragg, all he's thinking about is licking some white supremacist boots, getting some favor for some white supremacists, trying to get some social currency from white supremacists, not understanding how he's devalued the rights of black men and how he's devalued the rights of all men across this country. Because in this country where we have a woman crisis, one of the problems is we've got 2 to 3 generations of extra soft, extra sugary, extra gooey, cream-filled beta male men and those beta male men won't make their women yield. And the whole thing is, when you don't make women accountable for their actions, they run your society straight into the ground. And that's what your Alvin Bragg enabled when he gave this Karen a pass for racially profiling this teenage boy. He's given her a pass to participate in more dangerous behavior, and he's enabled more and more of these women to believe that there won't be any real punishment for their out of control and racist behavior. No, if a black man will give you a slap on the wrist, that sends a message to the entire world that white men and non-black men don't have to value the life of a black man in this country. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App right within the links in the description box. And if you want to learn more about the dysfunctional behavior of out-of-control women like these Karens, you can read my upcoming book, The Woman Crisis, when it comes to Amazon.com this fall. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers everywhere, E-Steamed Horror of the Hyena Woman. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a wicked werewoman in this action-packed, all-new E-Steamed series adventure. Pre-order your copy of E-Steamed Horror of the Hyena Woman on Amazon.com today.